on Josh Utter-Layton, playing best 3 out of 5 matches. They each brought 3 different decks, which unified standard means they'd be a legal deck even if you stacked them on top of each other. Starting out on a battle of their blue-black-ish control decks to see who takes the lead here.
Yeah, I would expect this to be the longest match, and the second one to be the fastest, and the third to be in the middle. That's my prediction. We'll see how that bears out. Obviously, someone's just going to get mana screwed now, and we're going to move on. But the blue-black control deck doesn't have many outs to be fast, whereas all the other matchups can just be blazing fast if the right draws happen.
Yeah, I just hope nobody sweeps, because I love the match 4 like double thinking, right? And when they get to match 4, each of them is going to know what decks the other guy has brought to the table and has to figure out, okay, I know that, well, this deck matches up best against their suite, so do I play that? Or I know that they know that. Anyway, that's for later. For now, what do we got going on?
Tom
Ross, Mulligan.
Well,
he's not playing blue black control deck.
Is Tom? Did Tom just not put his decks in order? Maybe he put his decks like. Technically, it's not a drawback for Tom. Like if Tom just plays his deck in, I guess he has to tell us the order before he plays all 3. But his first one could be just completely random, right?
Yeah, it's definitely. Yeah, Tom is definitely playing the Ojutai Jeskai deck, not the blue-black control deck, which I guess, yeah, he was supposed to tell us an order. Well, I assumed the order they were in his email was the right order.
This is fine. Right. It's fine for him to play this first, but he has to give us the order before he chooses his next 2. Like he can't play his next deck and then choose his next deck. So as long as we get an order for his last 2 decks now, it's fine. Yeah,
so we should just stop them playing and make sure Tom commits to what his second deck is before he starts thinking about what Josh.
In a chat that Josh can't see, presumably.
Oh yeah. So producer Josh, can you take care of that for us? Okay, we're going to message Tom. We're going to make sure that he has, in fact, committed to an order. I obviously misunderstood the order based on the email where he sent me all the deck lists. No big deal, but just want to make sure that he doesn't accidentally gain any advantage on Josh here.
Yeah. Though this matchup is, I think, a lot more interesting than the blue-black mirror.
Oh, yeah, I'm not complaining.
And Josh has a pretty good draw, though, because Josh gets to Silumgar Scorn this Manus Rider, and then next turn... Presumably, he plays Urborg to have Bile Blight up and Foul Tongue just so he doesn't get Rabble Mastered. Ooh, Foul Tongue is even better here. Jeez. And then Tom has a Stoke versus Raptors Ojutai plus Anticipate. Though Stoke does kill Ojutai if it attacks, so that is worth mentioning. So yeah, make sure Josh. We have to make sure Josh has a stop set on his main phase. We'll see if he managed to figure that out. I think that's what this pause is. Him checking because. Josh is the person who's gotten hit by not having the right stops more than anyone else in the league, or clicking on the wrong dig through time card, which is funny because he plays a fair amount of Magic online, or at least has in the past. So, and we'll let you know when we know which order Tom anticipates playing the decks in.
Yeah, interesting. He goes Bile Blight instead of Foul Tongue there.
So my assumption is that he's worried about Stormbreath Dragon because that would be the one card that would change my opinion of it. And it looks like, given that you've seen a Mantis Rider, let's say Tom played turn 3, turn 4 Rabble Masters, I think Josh would have been more likely to Foul Tongue because you'd expect Hordling Outburst and Raise the Alarm out of a tokens deck, perhaps. Once you see Mantis Rider, it seems like Stormbreath is more likely than a Hordling Outburst.
I'll buy that. Now, Josh was at the GP where this deck showed up last week. Not a lot of people have been playing a lot of Mantis Riders in a lot of formats lately, or at least in Standard. Josh probably has a decent idea that this is the deck that Brad played, that Ari Lax played, that Patrick Dick played.
Which has Dragonlord Ojutai, so yeah, that's definitely why he keeps Foul Tongue. It makes a lot of sense. Josh is going to get burned here by his Thoughtseize if he chooses to play. It looks like he actually wants to lead Thoughtseize into Ojutai. And it's going to whiff because Tom just has nothing. Tom's just going to stoke Josh in response.
Does that count as a whiff when you discover that your opponent is on all lands? I never feel bad about that.
No, especially since you force Tom to burn a stoke, to take you from 18 to 14 once you play the Thoughtseize.
Yeah, Josh also is set up to dig through time here. He is risking a disdainful stroke, but he's going to get away with it.
Looks like Tom does not have those in the main deck.
Oh, interesting. So it's not quite the way it was played at Providence then.
Yeah,
Those guys definitely
I would have a hard time seeing Josh lose this game.
Oh, from here? Totally agree. Now it's turn to set up for Thoughtseize into Ojutai.
Given that Josh is going to have 5 spells against Tom's 0.
Yeah, there's the Stoke. Josh does take 6, but he sees a pair of Shivan Reefs. And yeah, the coast for this Ojutai is clear.
About
it's funny, we thought we were getting the blue-black mirror. We're actually getting the Ojutai mirror.
And even if Tom draws an Ojutai, which sounds like a pretty good draw, Josh has the Foul Tongue ready.
Yeah. And this Valorous Stance is presumably going to run into Dissolve.
Yeah.
Either way.
Oh, I guess if you cast Silumgar Scorn, you can also cast Dig Through Time this turn. I mean, it's kind of running up the score, but either way, Josh is in pretty good shape here. Yeah.
Tom has seen enough.
Yeah, Tom is just not having it. I guess the Esper deck is going to finish the match the fastest at this rate.
That's exactly the way we drew it up, right?
No, but Tom does improve more post board than Josh does, is my belief.
Okay, yeah, let's look at this list. Tom's list in particular, since we haven't shown that one yet. Yeah, so what happens after sideboarding in particular, do you think?
Well, Tom just gets to board in Disdainful Stroke, Mastery of the Unseen potentially, Stratus Dancer, just cards that are good, and take out cards like Lightning Strike, which are just like so bad. So Tom just gets to make some like very significant upgrades, which is generally how it goes. Basically, when you play a deck like Esper, you get some value game 1 because your opponent has all these removal spells against your creatureless deck. But almost universally after board, people get to board in their good anti-control cards for their bad removal. And Esper, I think, has a better game 1 percentage than it does a game 2 percentage in most matchups. And I mean, here, Josh, if we want to take a look at Josh's list, like Josh gets to, make some swaps, but Bioblight's still fine. Foul Tongue's still fine. I mean, Josh maybe wants to bring in like Tassiger because it can block the ground creatures. Like it's just less clear what Josh is getting out of sideboarding, whereas Tom is actually making some real upgrades.
Okay, sounds like we've got Tom's decks just backwards. So CBA, the Bees will play the way we thought. I just read his email backwards, apparently. So we've got that. Great. John and Sorrow is actually a little bit better against Tom's deck than I was expecting, since he does have Hordling Outburst, but still probably not good enough to bring in.
Yeah, he does have Hordling Outburst and Soulfire Grandmaster, along with the Rabbmaster, and also lots of Stratus Dancers. I mean, that is an annoying card. Like, having a ton of Stratus Dancers does make things a lot worse for Josh. That card is quite good.
Yeah, one of the nice things that deck gets to do, this is Tom's deck, the Ojutai Jeskai deck, is you can have an Ojutai, he's hexproof, and then you play face down Stratus Dancer before attacking with your Ojutai. So if they do have the removal spell, once you've taken the guard down for Ojutai, you hopefully get a Stratus Dancer you can just flip up in response to counter whatever removal spell they've got.
Josh has a great hand here. Just Silumgar Scorn as his Force Spike is just going to be very good this game. So it's funny, if Tom plays, it looks like he's just going to play the Stratus Dancer face up. He's just getting in there. And part of the reason that he would do that is he's got Ojutai's command in hand, so just having the Stratus Dancer, getting some damage, and then just coming back later is pretty sweet. But Josh is going to get to Force Spike a Hordling Outburst here with Silumgar Scorn, and then have a bunch of removal for the rest of the cards. Though Tom could actually steal a march on Josh here, but if he goes Battlefield Forge Mastery, he can't get Silumgar Scorned. But that's a kind of weird play. It plays around only exactly Silumgar Scorn with no dragon. Because if Josh has a dragon, it still gets countered.
Yeah, it would be the Psychic play, but the Psychic play does not make it correct play.
Yeah, but Psychic play rarely is, because otherwise you would just make the play.
Right. So Force Spike is good enough to counter the Hordling Outburst.
And now Josh can leave up his 3-mana removal plus Silumgar Scorn and Anticipate by not playing Temple, which I like. I think he's much better off doing that. Though this Mastery is going to cause problems. If Tom decides to go for Mastery here, it's going to resolve, and Josh is going to start losing value to it. So Thomas decided whether he wants to. The thing is, the play that is better against like Dissolve is to just go end of turn, Ojutai's Command. But yeah, this is just going to work out much better for Tom.
Yeah, makes sense.
Josh doesn't have Dragon to reveal the Scorn, so Mastery is going to resolve. And now basically this puts the clock on Josh, where Josh has to find an Ojutai. Or if he has Perilous Vault in his deck, which he may, but it's not super likely. Because if he doesn't, then Tom just gets to sit there and make creatures for free that Josh has to use removal spells on. That's a pretty bad deal.
Here's Downfall takes out the Stratus Dancer.
Yeah, and it makes sense to get the clock off the board. Josh is already going to take... He knows he's going to take some hits from the Mastery creatures, so he might as well end up reducing the amount of life he loses overall here. What Josh really needed to draw on that a turn earlier was a dragon. And now he's got to decide whether he wants to scry before anticipating or just scry or anticipate first. The problem is if you anticipate first, you don't get to keep up Silumgar Scorn, but the Silumgar Scorn is not going to be all that impressive right now anyway.
Yeah, well, he pushed to the bottom and then said go. Now the end step, anticipate. Tom's going to start using Mastery of the NC to just pump out manifest creatures. Ultimate Price in the anticipate. He did find an Ojutai. Ships an Ultimate Price and a Disdainful Stroke in favor of that Ojutai. And now, do you just tap out for it here?
The problem with doing that is, post-board, Tom just has more counters, plus he's leaving up Ojutai's Command. Mm-hmm. And Josh has Dig Through Time, so I kind of like using Dig Through Time first to try to find a way to make sure this Ojutai is a little safer. Like if Josh has... Yeah, I think Josh can afford to take an extra turn here. I mean, slamming the Ojutai makes sense too. That's not a terrible play by any stretch, but letting Tom make one Mastery creature and then digging for a Thoughtseize to go Thoughtseize Ojutai seems very reasonable.
And that is what Josh has decided to do.
Mastery, a great combo with Stratus Dancer.
Some turns get to be welcome turns. Is that how that works?
Yeah. And Tom can even play Soulfire Grandmaster here if you would like.
Oh, Foul Tongue's going to eat the manifest? Sure. Foul Tongue, gain 4. He's still got up Scorn if he needs it, main phase, and then he can dig end step by tapping out.
I wonder if Tom actually flipped Stratus Dancer, because that would be...
Oh my god. That would be insane. It was Valorous Dance.
Oh, okay. And so it looks like Tom may end up just playing the Soulfire Grandmaster here, which... Josh could Silumgar Scorn if his plan is just to play Ojutai next turn. It's not like the Soulfire Grandmaster is that much of a threat, though. It's just a 2/2 right now.
I mean, the buyback is real, right? Eventually?
Eventually,
but he can just get around to killing it later.
Also, Josh can just cast Dig, which seems way better.
Yeah, I'll buy that. Here is Dig Through Time. Delve 6, 2 mana, some land, a Downfall, a Crux. Can't see the other 2 cards. Really wants a Thoughtseize, is your theory? To try to clear a path for Ojutai?
Thoughtseize helps. And Mastery is just destroying Josh here, because if not for Mastery, Josh would be crushing this game. But Mastery, well, Tom does have Ojutai's Command and Dig Through Time in his hand, so I guess crushing might be overstating it. Josh would be in decent shape this game, but Mastery makes it just a lot harder for him.
Now, is Ojutai's Command allowed to counter Ojutai?
If you're playing a flavor draft, definitely not, but unfortunately for Josh in this particular arena, it is a legal play.
Does feel like a flavor fail somehow.
Oh, yeah. So, presumably, Josh wants to leave up Silumgar Scorn. The awkward thing about Silumgar Scorn with Ojutai on the stack is it doesn't actually work the way you want it to. So,
you can neither reveal the dragon nor point to it in play, right?
Yeah. And it looks like Tom's plan is to just leave up Ojai's commander, use Mastery. He did tap in a way that he cannot cast Dig through time. So Josh deciding if he wants to slam Ojai or not. Thing is, it's not like he gets counter back up next turn. It doesn't get a whole lot better for him at this point. His Dig bricked pretty hard. I don't actually hate slamming Ojai now, but you're not
I mean,
super
he would have
involved with the plan.
he would have Force Spike back up next turn.
Right, which is not super impressive.
I mean, it would work on the current board.
It
right?
would.
Tom would have tapped out for Ojai's command. I mean, these are obviously psychic plays again, but yeah, it looks like Josh can take the opportunity to file Blight Grandmaster. Tom gets a manifest. It does feel like Josh has plenty of time.
Josh has time, but Tom's just drawing more cards than Josh, and Tom's hand is also like good card advantage. So it's not like Josh isn't like winning the control roll or he just has to stabilize. He's losing the control roll and actually still kind of dying on board. I'm surprised Tom didn't play the temple though, or the monastery.
Yeah, he skipped a land drop there.
He really wants all his mana. Like that. That seems a little ambitious.
Not sure what's going on with the audio. Hopefully only we hear that, whatever it is. It's from me?
So it's funny. Now Josh found a second Ojai, which means he's just going to cast one, not leaving Silumgar's Scorn up. But it is going to get countered by Ojai's command here, which presumably brings back a Soulfire Grandmaster along with it. It is funny. If Tom had an extra blue, he could actually just cast Ojai's command and just draw a card and then use Dig, but I think he's going to have time to do all this. And it looks like, yeah, Tom just brought in Soulfire. He can play his own Ojai now if he really wants to.
Oh, wow.
Which, the funny thing is, it still plays around Crux of Fate there.
Yeah. Yeah, his threats are diversified.
Which, normally against a control deck, you'd never, like, overcommit like this, but against a deck that has Crux as its win condition or its kill condition, that makes a lot of sense. So now Josh can Crux away the Ojai, or he can just play his own Ojai. Looks like he's just running his own Ojai out here. The interesting thing will be to see if he ends up wanting to trade when Tom attacks with just Ojai here. I think if you're Josh, you just don't trade. You let Tom loot, and then you get to attack with your own Ojai, and then hopefully go like Crux plus Foul Tongue or something along that. Or just use a removal spell because Ojai is going to be tapped. It's also under the assumption that Tom hasn't manifested anything good, which he may have, but based on this attack. So, yeah, I would just snap off the Soulfire here.
Totally agree. Yeah, that just works. Tom loots his way into a Disdainful Stroke.
It's not bad. Not bad at all.
Yeah, Tom just, the card advantage engines on Tom's side are winning on multiple axes right now.
Yeah, and Josh now has to attack. Well, he could.
He can ultimate price.
He can't ultimate price anything right now. He can attack and then hope to draw a removal spell off the attack. The problem is Cruxing the Ojai away. He dies to the manifests. It looks like Tom is gonna just cast a Dig now. I don't even know if
Stroke to defend it, which is not going to work.
I don't even know if Josh can afford to counter the Dig as much as he would want to.
Yeah, I don't know that he can afford not to. Yeah, he is
probably doesn't go great places if you don't counter that. But now, what are you hoping to hit? Like you're dying to Ojai and to the manifest.
I mean, Tom's down to one card. You're hoping you can hit a removal spell for Ojai?
Josh can't even kill the Ojai here, so he can Crux away both Ojais, and then Tom goes end of turn, activate Mastery, attack you with both.
Wow. He's just dead, right?
Yeah, there's no way Josh gets out of this as long as Tom doesn't do something very strange. So,
Looks like we're going to game 3.
and Josh not wanting to reveal his ultimate price or Crux of Fate in his deck, which probably not like a huge, stretch, but it is funny that he would not want to reveal that.
All right, on to game 3. Sideboard Mastery of the Unseen worked out great there. Gets in under the counters.
Oh, that whole game was completely about mastery. Tom, boards in 3 of them, and Josh had a bunch of removal spells, Silumgar, Scorn, Ojutai, and Dig, which is just like what his deck's trying to do, and Mastery of the Unseen just destroyed it.
Yeah, he actually had the Silumgar Scorn, but without the dragon. Couldn't stop Mastery. Now, does Josh have any way of answering a Mastery? Has he basically got, an Ugin and maybe a Perilous Vault as his ways of dealing with enchantment?
Those are his outs. They're not particularly exciting outs to that, but Josh can also, if he's on the play, Silumgar, Scorn it. And if he had a dragon that game, he would have been able to counter it on turn 3.
True.
Or potentially Thoughtseize it. Or, if Josh has a game where he can resolve an Ojutai on turn 5, then Mastery is not necessarily going to be good enough. But yeah, Mastery is a good card in this matchup for sure. Mastery backed up with good instant speed plays like Dig and Disdainful Stroke is pretty big.
Makes sense.
I wonder if Tassiger is also kind of interesting. It doesn't match up well against like Ojutai, for example, or a Mantis Rider, but Tassiger against, Rabble Master or Soulfire Grandmaster is not horrible, and it does keep you alive against Mastery and let you get value by just activating over and over again to at least kind of keep up with it, though it's still worse.
What do you think of the Duress?
I don't like the actual card Duress that much. I think Thoughtseize is more where you want to be.
Sure. Well, he doesn't have the other 2 Thoughtseizes in his sideboard.
True. They're reserved for his Mardu Dragons deck.
Is that Erishan Cleric?
Yeah, what is going on? Tom has more Erishan Clerics than lands in his hand. Unless we're missing a card that's also a land. Which wouldn't surprise me. Okay. Tom is tied lands in Erishan Clerics.
Yeah, still a major upset. I mean, if that tie isn't at 0,
Yeah, I mean,
he believes in a beat-down curve, I guess.
Josh is probably looking at that like, what? I guess this is Tom's answer to Drown in Sorrow. I mean, Josh is fine taking 1. He'll take 1 for 7 turns without a whole lot of, pain here.
Yeah, that's a really interesting choice from Tom.
It's protecting against Foul Tongue.
I was thinking the same thing. It does eat a Foul Tongue. It's just its impact on the board seems so small.
Tom missing his 3rd land drop, so just playing a Stratus Dancer.
And Tom says this turn is a welcome turn.
It's funny, by doing this, Josh has a little bit of a reason to use Silumgar Scorn. He doesn't have a dragon and a 4 spikes ballad here, but yeah, it works out much better for Josh if he just lets that resolve, because against Tom's missed land drop, Silumgar Scorn going to counter something good. And in this case, Josh really would rather counter Hordeling Outburst with Scorn rather than deal with it with removal spells. Josh does need to draw something here. I mean, his hand is fine. He's making land drops. He can counter Tom's next play. But if Tom starts drawing lands and Josh keeps drawing lands, then this is not going to work out well. Wow. Josh kind of has to counter Mastery here, which means that Tom has, if he draws a 3rd land, 3 good 3-drop plays that Josh has no answers to. Josh could just let this resolve. It's pretty ambitious, but
you're committing to winning the game relatively quickly for the hand that he has.
The problem is if you let this resolve and then Tom goes land go, you just feel awful. You feel like you're just going to lose. If you knew that Tom had no lands in hand, you would probably be inclined. You'd be more inclined to let it resolve for sure.
The fact that Silumgar Scorn is in Josh's deck means Tom's usually playing his lands before he taps out for a spell. I actually think Josh could read Tom for no land there. I still think I would counter Mastery, though. He just destroyed you in the previous game.
Yeah, there are just too many draws you can get where Mastery is just, the whole game. So Tom drew his 3rd land. Josh gets to counter the first spell Tom plays with Silumgar Scorn, but Josh then does need to draw a dragon. If Josh can draw a dragon, he's in good shape. If he can't, This could get ugly. Tom having two haste plays essentially with Rabblemaster and Manus Rider deciding which is his worst. You kind of want Hordeling Outburst to resolve the most because it takes the most cards. So I could see wanting to play Rabblemaster against the most vulnerable. The Cleric doing some work here. Josh has to Silumgar scorn this, which opens the door later for Tom to resolve something better.
Yeah, Cleric is clearly defending against Foul Tongue.
Yeah, if Josh just draws a Dig Through Time and he can find a Crux of Fate or just draws an Ojutai, he's in very good shape. But if he cannot, he doesn't have a whole lot of turns left to draw something.
No, beat the Scry. Push the land to the bottom. I'm going to play around Silumgar Scorn by playing that island, I would guess.
Yeah, there's no reason not to. Josh would have used it. I guess Josh didn't have an opportunity. No, he's cast like 2 in the last couple turns. So Josh could have a third Silumgar Scorn here. The good thing for Josh is Tom has 2 threats in his hand, and the rest are not like all that effective. I guess Ojutai's Command is decent. The 2 Valor stances are not looking great.
Mm-hmm.
Looks like we're Mantis Ridering here, which is going to happen. I still don't like casting Foul Tongue here. Just you're hoping to Crux those 2 creatures away and then Foul Tongue the next thing.
Right.
And if you draw a dragon, it buys you so many turns off life gain off Foul Tongue. Josh just hasn't drawn a spell. Dragonlord's Prerogative, probably a card you keep. You don't have a ton of time, though.
He did keep it.
The good thing for Josh is Tom's not going to play Hordeling Outburst this turn, I don't think. He's less likely to. He's got double Ojutai's Command at the ready. There's just no reason to overextend into Crux when you have good instant speed interaction, which does play into Prerogative, because now Josh gets to pass. Tom, if he casts end of turn Ojutai's Command, Josh gets to Disdainful Stroke it finally, and then Josh gets to also cast Dragonlord's Prerogative. So things could turn out well for Josh. That was like the last turn he had to draw Dragonlord's Prerogative, but he did draw it, and now he's going to have a whole grip of 5 new cards when he takes his next turn. After Tom hits him down to 5, but then Foul Tongue's presumably on. Maybe you cast Crux of Fate, and Tom's hand is not all that well equipped for this kind of battle.
Yeah, Dragonlord's Prerogative first. Now Disdainful Stroke. Presumably he's going to Disdainful Stroke the Ojutai's Command.
I would be pretty surprised if he didn't.
It's cantrip. Put what into play?
Stratus Dancer. Yeah. And part of the reason you do it, too, is that Tom just doesn't have that many cards that you can target with Disdainful Stroke. Mm-hmm. So if you don't do this now, you cast you're Bile-Blighting the Manus Rider. You're then just not spending that much time on. You've got a spell in your hand, Disdainful Stroke, that you're just never going to have an opportunity to play. So presumably Tom's going to pass again here, keeping up a counter for Silumgar. So I think if you're Josh, you want to prioritize just going like, Foul Tongue, Bile-Blight, just to go up to 9 and clear the board, and then playing Silumgar at a later date. Though you do have the 2 Havens to get them back, but one of the ways you lose is just tapping out for Silumgar and getting Ojutai's Commanded. So I don't think we're going to see Josh doing that. I like Dismal Backwater, just go, see what Tom does, mm-hmm. and then play your removal spells as needed. Especially since Josh has enough to... Does he have enough black? I guess he has to play the Swamp if he wants enough black to go Foul Tongue, Bile-Blight. Oh, actually, he doesn't even have quite enough to cast all 3. So yeah, 3 regardless, yeah, he needs quintuple black to cast all of them. So at that point, you could just play the Dismal Backwater.
Basically committing to Foul Tongue +1.
Yeah.
You know what? That Arishan Cleric has worked out.
Yeah, I still don't understand why it's in the deck, but the fact that it dealt a bunch of damage.
It deals like 4 or 5 damage.
Yeah, I don't think enough to justify it, because what happens if you don't draw it on turn 2? It doesn't eat the Foul Tongue, you just draw this card. Or it just eats a Crux.
Look, I had the same impression that you did when you played it on turn 2. I got to tip my hat to the guy. It has worked out.
And I guess, given that it's worked out, therefore it was correct.
Well, I don't think that's quite the way that works, but sure.
So Josh can't be too unhappy about this. It's another Oversized command getting back the 2-1, just because it means that your Silumgar is a lot more likely to resolve. I think you do want to start using your kill spells now, though.
Rather than die to the 6 damage. I definitely.
Yeah, it seems worse to die to the 6 damage. Josh is waiting just in case another Mana Strider comes out. You might want to double Bile Blade.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was going to say I was a little bit surprised he didn't do anything while Tom was tapped out, but that makes sense. Wow, now here's Rabble Master. That's a lot of creatures. And we figured out he can only play 2 of his removal spells.
So what Josh can do is Bile Blight the Rabble Master, and then Foul Tongue away the Erishan Cleric, go up to 10, take 5 going to 5, but then Silumgar the Mantis Rider attack for 3 back and have Hero's Downfall up, which means that when Tom does Valorous Stance the Silumgar, Josh gets to then Hero's Downfall the Mantis Rider.
Bile Blight did, in fact, kill Rabble Master.
And if Tom doesn't draw a land, he can only cast 1 spell next turn, because he only has 1 white source.
Foul Tongue does have a dragon to reveal, so the gain life is pretty crucial here. Yeah, Tom's got a hand of 4 2s and a 3.
And Josh
and only 1 white mana.
Yeah.
The only 1 white mana is the crucial part.
Yeah.
In fact, when one of his white mana is a 2nd red mana for the Hordeling Outburst. So. All right, this is Downfall, not Silumgar?
I think you just play both. And I guess if you Downfall the Mantis Rider, there's actually an advantage to doing that. And that's that when you Silumgar the Silumgar dies, you don't get to have a haste creature attacking you. The extra damage doesn't matter that much.
Wow, smart.
Yeah, I like this.
This Josh Utter Layton guy's pretty good at Magic. I see good things for him.
So now if Tom takes the opportunity to kill Silumgar when tapped out, Josh gets to get it back with Haven. So I think Tom, given that the Haven's on the board and Josh only has 1 card in hand, Tom really has an incentive to wait here and just try to Haven end of turn. You just get punished on the board if you cast Valor Stance right now. So Josh really wants to draw Silumgar Scorn or Dig Through Time. Dissolve does do the trick.
These are a lot of face-up Stratus Dancers.
We haven't seen otherwise.
All right. Tom is going to use Valor Stance to try to kill Silumgar. He waited until Josh's end step to do this because he didn't want Josh to just be able to Haven it back.
Yeah, which I think you have to do there.
I agree. I think it was correct, but it did mean that he's going to run into a Dissolve. Josh scries a land at the bottom.
And drawing a land there is really good for Tom. Now Tom is going to win this game unless Josh draws something, because Tom can again just like play like a Hordeling Outburst and then leave Valorous Stance up here. And now Josh is just dead if he doesn't draw something. Crux of Fate would be pretty funny here.
How about Ojutai?
That's actually not going to be good enough, since you get to block one of the Stratus Dancers and take 5 and go to 0.
0 doesn't sound like enough life. If only he hadn't been hit by Erishan Cleric 7 times or whatever it was.
Yeah, Erishan Cleric, scoreboard. it did its job, apparently.
If Josh leaves the Stratus Dancer on defense, he's okay. He survives, right?
Well, Stratus Dancer comes running back once the Silumgar dies.
I'm talking about. I just keep looking at things wrong. He does attempt to leave Stratus Dancer on defense, but it's going to turn traitor and go back home.
And now Tom's going to make this attack with Tom's basically out of cards at this point, but that doesn't matter because Josh is out of life points. Josh does. If he had a removal spell, he would win the game most of the time here, but he does not.
Wow! So Tom Ross wins a pretty tricky game. I mean, he was kind of tight on mana the whole time, managed to navigate a path, and drew just enough mana, just fast enough that kind of beat maybe a mana flooded Josh Utter Layton.
Yeah, Mana Screw tends to beat Mana Flood, much of the time. And in this particular case, that was exactly what happened.
Pretty interesting little game. And it means Tom Ross is now up 1 match to 0. So if you just joined us, we're playing best 3 out of 5 matches. We can show the playoff bracket and let you guys see this is number 2 versus number 3 from the regular season. The winner comes back next week to take on Owen Turtenwald in another best 3 out of 5 matches set for the final. Right now, it is Tom Ross who's up a match, and now they switch decks. Time for the B decks. Both players will show us their take on green-red. Now, what do you think? Dragons or Devotion? What sort of green-red mage are you, Luis?
I feel like I'd rather be on the Devotion side of things right here. I mean, Tom's got the Dragon deck, which just goes a little bit smaller and has Storm Breaths and Thunder Breaks with just 2 Atarkas, you know. Just whereas Josh has the more mana and more things like Hornet Queen. Hornet Queen in particular is very good in this matchup, and you know if Josh is able to cast it, Tom has to like have his sideboarded barrage of boulders, or he's in a lot of trouble.
All right, yeah, it is going to be green-red Dragons versus green-red Devotion. We can show Josh's deck real quick, and we're going to take probably 2 minutes before we go down to this game. Stay tuned, guys. We will be right back momentarily with the second match of the Standard Super League semifinals.